Welcome back to the Yes, the ESBL podcast. Today I'm joined by Head of Operations Olga Legacka. Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing, Olga?
Fine. The last day of the annual conference, the first ever online. Don't want to praise
The
the
day
day
before
before
the sunset.
the sunset.
We heard that several times this week.
But it goes well.
Yeah, I
The
think
feedback is positive. So
yes. So, Olga, you are Head of Operations in the support team of Yes, the ESBL. So maybe for everyone not so familiar with the structure of Yes, the ESBL, maybe can you explain a little bit how this works with the board, which is elected by the General Conference, and then there's the support team.
I don't know if you want the long or short answer. Let make it short.
Let's make it so in the middle.
In the middle.
I have a question prepared for the history of it. So.
Okay, so the support team is the, I would say, executive body. I will try to use the management language here. It's the executive body to support the board. As you know, the board, they are volunteers, so they are not the people who are taking care of the day-to-day business of the association. And the support team is to make sure that the decisions taken by the General Conference and decisions taken by the board between the General Conference are executed. So whenever the board decides to change something in the exchange platform, or whenever the board decides about the new standards, then the job of the support team is to execute it and to make it live. Because any decision on the paper looks nice, but somehow you have to make it running.
Be in the platform, it has to be on the website.
Yes, and it has to be communicated and so on. And I would summarize the aim of the support team is really to support IST network. We have 83 countries in IST. Which is quite impressive number, but that means also the number of bodies the support team cooperates with. It's really huge and multiplied, and plus of course the main contact is the board, plus the members, plus different task forces, different project groups, suppliers, partners. So that creates quite a big environment the support team operates with. And to give you a number, I think that the average number of emails we process each day, it's over 300, so per person through each year. So it's quite a lot, and of course besides email there are like other communication channels happening. And how the support team is structured, because I think this information is missing. So I'm the head of operations, also the manager of the support team, and we have the exchange quality manager and Valentina, who is responsible for exchange quality standards, so to define them, to keep it up to date, and to redevelop our policy, how we work in, and also to implement it. Plus, of course, Valentina's a great support for any exchange issues, questions, whatever connected with the exchange and developing the exchange platform. We have Kosh. Kosh is our IT manager, and he is responsible for any IT services, of course, the exchange platform, the website, domains, anything related to the IT. And also Kosh is managing the ITS team. And ITS team, it's like a volunteers. And the third person is Bruce, and Bruce is our marketing and communications manager, and anything what's happening on social media, newsletters, website, and much more, like annual review. This is the Bruce responsibility. I'm just giving you the headlines because if I start mentioning each single task everyone does,
then we are sitting here 2 hours.
Yeah,
because
it's not.
Because it's actually worth mentioning. I mean, you four are part-time employed, so it's not like that you earn full-time employees. And in total, I think it's 2 full-time equivalent.
More or less. Full-time. So yeah, that's important point to mention, that somehow everyone does it by side the job, and the whole support team are not random people. We all are coming from
Yeah.
IST.
So actually, Kush, he's in IT and he's working, I think, even full time in IT and is a
yes,
team manager
exactly.
here.
Yeah, but he was, for example, the national secretary of IST India, and the
Yes.
same for Valentina. She was the national secretary of IST Chile, and Bruce was the main coordinator of IST
UK.
UK in
Yeah.
England.
Yeah.
So I was the national secretary of IST Poland. So we all know very well the
Yeah.
job of IST, and that's, I think, a good big advantage for us to help to develop this association.
And it's also quite international team. I mean, Valentin is from Chile, Kush is from India. So actually that's also showing how diverse our network is in the end, because we are, like you said, we cover more than 85 countries and even more committees, because in some countries we have more than one
That's
committee.
definitely what I value a lot, because everyone, every team member contributes with something different, with different culture, with different perspective,
Mhm.
and I think that's also very important in ISTA, that we are able to see something
Yeah.
from a different perspective, and that's
Yeah.
what makes us working, I think, also well.
And I mean, also because I talked with Thomas, our president, before about like also the working together, because it took maybe some time to understand, okay, how people are articulating themselves because of also this, let's say, cultural differences. But I think it's now working pretty well now in the support team, and especially in this year with coronavirus situation.
Yeah, like maybe not everyone knows that ISTA does not have like an office.
Yeah.
We have an address in Luxembourg, and that's it. But we don't have an office.
Yeah.
So the only place where we meet, it's the virtual world. It's online, of course, Google Drive and so on. That's the place where we work together. So definitely, the fact that we know each other for quite some time helps a lot. Helps a lot, and the moments we can meet in person, we value a lot. Because usually during the online meetings, you rather focus on the tasks
Yeah.
and the projects, and there is like real little time left to have fun together. What's also very important.
Yeah, and
within the
also
team.
to ask, okay, what's actually going on in your life and something like
Yeah,
that.
so that's something what that's important. So every moment when we can meet in person makes it also easier, and also that generates the motivation for
Yeah.
everyone to work, and to, as you said, we learn about each other even
Yes,
more.
yes, absolutely. I mean, that was unfortunately the problem this year, and we are sitting now in Vienna together. So we are fortunate to meet after 1 year, and yeah. But on the other hand, I have to say, like, we were already pros somehow in this, and for a lot of people, it was a quite huge challenge to switch to virtual working, virtual teamwork. We unfortunately we knew already about that. But as you said, like, this motivation was also meeting someone in person gives you motivation, and the relation is building the trust between people, and that's very important for a team. But yeah, so you're actually, Olga, maybe we come a little bit to that. You're in IESTA actually for quite some time now. I think in total we talked yesterday during dinner. I think 18 years, like since 2002.
Yeah, it would be 19 in May.
What a amazing long time, actually.
Yeah, long, lifelong experience.
So, what do you think, like, thinking back, how did it happen that you then back joined? Because you are from Poland, so you joined a student-run committee, you became a volunteer in IESTA Poland, I assume. So how was it back then? How did you become a member? And when did you find out, okay, what was your IESTA moment, so to say, where you knew, okay, this is something for me. This is something I want to contribute in.
Okay, there are like a few moments, because my ISTA journey started with a friend, like a friendship. So the ISTA friendship, the ISTA value for me means a lot, because I just met a friend from high school, and he was on the way to ISTA meeting, and I simply had free afternoon, and I said, okay, I will go. And this is how I entered this association. And it was May, and I think already in June I was the summer reception coordinator. And that was, I think, one of the best summers ever. And here again, the diversity of people you met. And that was like an eye-opener, and I totally jumped in, and I was fall in love with this group, and we had like 3 months of taking care of them and showing them Poland and then solving their problems and taking care of them, and that was really amazing. And then I started to be I continued to be active in the local committee, and I think the second moment was also the moment when we established IST Poland as an association.
Okay.
I love challenges, so that's something what I think was one of the highlight moments when we set up IST Poland as an association, because in the past it was part of the other association, like a long history coming from a long time ago. So it's not about talking here about IST Poland, but that was also a significant moment really to establish totally student-run IST association in Poland, dealing with all the statutes, registration, and building the structure. And that was the funding, and I think also the second milestone in the history was building up the platform, the IT system for IST Poland.
Okay.
That become actually the benchmark for other systems, IST worldwide. And I think also the current exchange platform.
Yeah, it looks quite similar
was
actually.
built, based on the experience from, of course, the Polish platform and other platforms, but that was also the milestone. And I think IST is also okay to be to fulfill your dreams. And once I had the dream to organize an event in the main hall of the Warsaw Technical University. I don't know if you have seen it. It's really amazing. One of the most beautiful place at the university, and I had a dream. Okay, let's make a party there. And we managed to invite the IST family to IST annual conference in Poland 2009. So that was also quite demanding experience, but we managed. And for my personal, I think it was also a life-changing moment when I was on 2 internships.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask next, because you actually are an IST alumni too. So alumni in IST mean trainees, or both actually. You're alumni then when you volunteered and you stop your membership, and most of the times when people graduate, then they leave the association not working, so that are alumni. But you're an IST alumni, and also that sense you were on internships. So where have they been, and how did they change you then back then?
I've been to Germany twice. First, because that was my choice. I was studying quality engineering, and in the internship, the work description was fitting exactly to what I was studying. And I know German, so for me it was quite easy. And I was in Chemnitz, but actually then I realized that maybe engineering is not exactly what I want to do. But that was also from cultural perspective also very great experience, because I met people from this time, like Middle East, from Syria, from Tunisia, and also we became a very good friends, and they also taught me a lot about their culture. And then I realized, oh my God, how many stereotypes we are having in our heads, even without being aware of it. So that was also again like another eye-opener, and we spent like a great time together. And the internship was also interesting. However, I read, okay, maybe it's not the fun. And the second internship was also in Germany. It was in Braunschweig. But here that was a very quick decision, because one of my friends from the university, he was supposed to go for this internship. But he got another offer, what was more, I think, important for him. Not an IST offer, but he got a job. And then we didn't want to disappoint the committee, the German committee, because they were expecting someone to come, and as we were studying the same, having almost the same grades, just the difference was female and male. I said, okay, I will try, because I didn't want to disappoint IESTA Germany that we were supposed to send them a student, and there is no one. So I just jumped in. I think within 2 weeks I had to decide that I'm going for internship. So that was not planned, but also was great time. And then I met another culture, and actually I had 2 friends from Israel. And again, that was a huge lesson about totally different culture.
Do you think this is one of the benefits going on an IESTA internship or even being a volunteer in IESTA? Because due to media and media coverage, and I think it's the same important as in Austria, you have these stereotypes. You think when we're looking to the Middle East, and if you're simply just watching TV, you don't get the real culture, right? So you have, I have to say, or to admit, more a negative view, so to say, like putting that in brackets. But when you're meeting them, and I was on my internship, I was in Qatar. If you're meeting people from Middle East, or is it then later from Asia or so on, that it's so different and really also enriching that so to say. So what's your...
I think I think we should not base our thinking or perception or what we read in social media. For me, I always value person to person, and for me it's like each one is an individual. So I'm really fighting and also teaching my son not to label people, not to saying, okay, this culture is this. It's not like this. Of course, you have the research done, and if you are familiar with the Hofstede results, they like define some cultures. And of course, it's important to have like a background and to read about the geography, because also that determines how we are, the history and some basic cultural things. But this should be just help you to understand the other people, but not like being convinced, okay, this person is like this. So for me, it's always important to be like open-minded, and I'm meeting an individual, and I should be open to learn the person, and not the Polish, the German, or the Arabic. This is the human being I'm meeting, and okay, let's talk and get to know each other.
I think we have actually in German, I think it's also an English saying is don't judge a book by its cover.
Exactly, it's the same in Polish.
And it's okay, very good. And I think that was for me also one of the greatest experiences when I joined IESTA as a volunteer, and we had our trainees there, and it was so interesting because you get to know so much more about the culture, of course, but also their country, and it's like so many things you don't see in television or now on social media, as it is becoming more and more important. But let's come back now a little bit to your role in IESTA, because the support team wasn't always there. So there was a start, I think, in the early 2010 years, so 2010, 2011. When
2012 exactly.
Okay,
when I started.
2012. It was like 1 year before I joined IESTA, which was basically the foundation of the GST Global Support Team, I believe was it called. And then they hired a lot of people. So how was it? Because you said you organized the AC 2009 in Warsaw. How was it? Did you leave then IESTA and then you came back, or what? How was the time period, and how did it happen that you got hired again by IESTA?
Now I'm hired and work for IESTA, but like my whole history until 2012 was just volunteering for IESTA. So IESTA in Poland is based on volunteers, so I was always volunteering for IESTA there. And in the meantime, I worked for Carlsberg, the beer company, and in HR department, being responsible mainly for human capital development. And then I think that I was working there for quite some time, and that was, let's say, time for change. And suddenly also the that was this offer. At this moment, I was quite disconnected from IST International. Of course, I was reading, but not having a role, because I think I finished like having a position in IST Poland in 2010. Or 2011, that was my, let's say, I finished with positions in IST Poland, and I just become the alumni. And then I read about this position in the global support team, and back then it was called the development manager. And I said, okay, that fits. That fits also because at this time I was starting my PhD, and it was supposed to be a perfect match, the part-time job for IST and my PhD, which is on the topic of global competences. So the match was supposed to be very perfect.
Yeah.
And then that was the moment when we actually had an office in Vienna, because the global support team was hosted by IST Austria back then. And since I think from this team it's only me and Bruce who are still on board, and I still remember Vanya and Jura, and we had a good time together. The thing was that Jura and Vanya were located in Vienna. I was coming every month for 1 Vienna 2 week, and the rest of the work was done remotely, and Bruce was working remotely as well. And we had another person from Greece. But it was still, I would say, the forming phase. Also, that was, I think the consequences of the process started in 2005 when IST was established as an IST SBL. So it took some time for IST to learn how to set up the structure that it's really fitting to the current world needs, because for years IST was ad hoc organization, but then the whole world is more like demanding and like registrations, bureaucracy, and so on. So that's why it was like this.
Actually, maybe it's worth to mention that the office back then you had is now the IST Austria office.
It's a nice office. So
so it's basically everyone like dealing with IST Austria and communicating with them. Their office is now the old GST office, and then it was changed because it was basically funded by 3 IST committees at the beginning, and then it was switched over to the ASBL, and now you're paid directly, and also your contract is with the IST ASBL. And and then I think there was also like, now we have with Valentina somebody responsible for exchange, so you have now 4 people in there, and I think that was, as an association doing an exchange program, it was very important to actually have someone really dedicating your time and taking also off this working package from you, because I think before it was basically you working on.
No, that was me and also the board member responsible, but because we want to improve more and more, and then there's like more and more tasks, I think it's unfair to load this job and work on a board member volunteer. I think that the board members are adding, of course, with the vision, with the ideas, but it's not fair to really force like a volunteer who all the board members have like other jobs, so it's simply impossible to really deliver what's needed in the time frame we need it, because of course you can spend 2 years on developing something, but then usually you learn it's not fitting anymore.
So we are sitting now in Vienna in this online conference, and also what we were discussing, especially this year with all our online meetings, we don't know how exactly the future of the AC will look like. I think it's, and also Thomas said that in our previous conversation, we have to evaluate that like carefully, like in the summer and something. But what do you think are at the moment, looking also at COVID and the impact on the association, the biggest opportunities for the association?
I'm the person who, as I said already, I'm driven by challenges, and I'm always looking for opportunities, and I have like this problem-solving attitude. So for me, like switching, and I remember our discussion here, and like the moment when I realized, okay, we have to switch to the online conference, we have to be ready for having this conference online. because this conference is the most important moment
Yeah.
in the IST year. Not only because we exchange offers, because offers you can exchange the whole year. The exchange platform supports that, no problem. But the moment of the motivation and energy when the whole IST world is meeting in one place is crucial. And of course, we will have to evaluate how it worked in a virtual setup. But from the engagement of the people I saw and the number of people participating and the feedbacks we are getting, it works. Like people are here in a virtual world, like meeting and communicating, and it's the momentum we create. Because of course, during the year, like you have Zoom, WhatsApp, and thousands of other tools you could meet, but that's the moment. This is the moment when everyone wants to be here, and the time is kind of planned for it. And the future of annual conference, we will see. I'm looking very much forward to the physical meeting and to meet everyone. But I also see the benefits of the online part.
Yeah, I think what was amazing on this annual conference till now, we are now at on the last full day of annual conferences. We had so many people from the local committees, volunteers with us. We had employers with us, universities, and we had sometimes, like, I think 3 program points in parallel, because there was Kush working with the training for the exchange administrators. We had a panel discussion. We had the general conference, and everything was happening in parallel. And managing that, it was actually a lot of things were done by you.
Yeah, we had some ideas that was the opportunity, because for the physical conference we wouldn't be able to bring 700 people. Like we would, but then we need to change the setup totally, and I think financial wise for committees it's not affordable to bring 700 people. But we managed. It's like 700 people, over 700 people interacting within each other right now. And also we could open the annual conference to the group you said, and also thanks to this online setup we were able to invite so many guests. It was a bit crazy, I must admit. Like we were, like, as always, ambitious, but we managed to invite the keynote speakers we could not bring to the conference, or because also for them to travel one day to give 1 hour speech would be very difficult to fit in their schedule. But with this online setup it worked, and I think that's the added value, and the panelists and really connecting employers from different parts of the world. That makes sense, and that's something what definitely I believe it's worth to continue, and that's the added value.
And it's also a learning process then in the end, because we will have feedback loops and of course, and now going a little bit again away from AC and what's happening, I want to talk about, you're now in EIS for 18 years or 19 years nearly. And I also had some conversations here and also throughout the conference platform what I should ask you. And one question which basically stuck out was, what does after 18 years still motivate you to be in EIS and to develop the program and to stay with us?
Maybe ask me after Daisy when I'm not so tired. Yeah, but that's a joke. I think that's the people. I think the diversity and the feeling that you are really contributing to the world. And I think the biggest motivational factor is when you talk to the trainee who have been on an internship and who tells you the sentence we know already, oh, it changed my life. And then you feel, okay,
it's worth it.
It was. I know, and I know how valuable the experience for me was, and I think that's the biggest motivation. That's the impact on the world we can have. And to hear this sentence, I used to change my life. I think that's the motivation.
Yeah, I think that's always because most of the trainees give feedback to their national committees, local committees when they come back. But it's very nice when we are sitting here and when national committees forward to you, like, you know, we have this very amazing trainee report, or if you're reading the stories actually, and also this project, doing this podcast is actually also aiming to in the end talk then to trainees who went on an internship and to give them a platform to tell their stories. And of course, I'm talking to you because I think it's also very important to get you guys to know better, or to what drives you, what we maybe then for also some people how they can support you in your work. And what do you think is the biggest challenge then for the next year? I mean, we have still COVID around, so the pandemic. So for next year, because now luckily there are the vaccines, and I think that's a huge achievement by science to have it within 1 year ready, and it's now distributed.
I think the biggest challenge is to keep the commitment, because the IST is very diversified organization, and in each country it works differently, and especially in the committees where IST is volunteer run, the motivation was coming from meeting people in person, from traveling, and that was the engine. And we see that this kind of commitment and motivation is a bit struggling. And also for I have talked to the national secretaries of the student-run committees, and for them to keep people together when they cannot really meet with them, and they can easily go away, and that's I think that the challenge, and really to keep the commitment and to do everything what's possible that really to bring students. And of course COVID is COVID, but it's a new normal. We have to learn how to do it, and we have countries who prove okay, it's possible even in these difficult times. It's possible to raise offers and to find employers willing to host students, and of course everything can happen, but we try to make it happen. And this commitment to make the exchanges happen, I think it's the challenge for this year.
So what struck out for me this year was, or especially let's say in the last few weeks, when we saw the number of offers increasing in the exchange platform, and there are offers have been raised, exchanges done, is that employers are still believing in the ESTA mission, and we are all like still seeing how valuable ESTA is, and they want to, employers want to work with us, students want to still go on. I think especially students are really, really looking forward when they can travel again.
That they can travel again, and I think for employers, and employers know that they need the right people, they need talents. So, and even more in this time. Even more in this time, you need people who are like able to react quickly, to adapt, and I think that's the skill you get when you go for IST internship, because you have to adapt to the new culture, and that's this transferable skills you can apply in the workplace. So I still trust employers are willing. It's just the lockdowns and all the uncertainty created within the world. We don't know if even I really don't know when I'm traveling back to Poland what's the process, what's the procedure, if I have to be quarantined or not. But let's not think through this, because that's the obstacle, but it's possible. And I think to really motivate each other to just treat it as an obstacle and not like the limit, and we cannot go over. That's the challenge. So if anyone is listening to me now, please think in this way. This is crucial to make the exchanges happening.
How do you manage to stay so positive?
How I manage to stay so positive? Maybe I'm old enough. I think it's always like ups and downs, and even if you look at the economic cycle, it's always ups and downs. I hope we are at the moment when we really reach the deep and we can jump up. And I also think, as we outlined in the strategy presentation, that will be turning moment, and still like our generation is like before and after the Second World War. This generation will say before and after COVID. And that's the moment, I think, when this is important, and that's also the moment when people realized how important it is to meet other people.
Yes.
And this is what IST is about, to promote international understanding. And I really trust in the mission and the foundation of IST, that if you know the people, if you have friends all over the world, you are not the person to start the war and to fight to each other. And you look to
because
to find a compromise.
you understand the other side.
Yeah, and you know, okay,
Yeah.
these are the people, and I know how they live, and why should I fight with them? So I think this is important, and we are lucky to have quite long time without the war, with like the real world war, and I hope it will continue. But it's not happening like this.
Yeah.
We know what's happening, and a lot of populism coming, and a lot of inequalities. And I think this is the way IST contributes to really contribute to the peace at the end.
Yeah, wonderful. How do you think IST benefited you as a person the most? What did you learn most throughout IST?
Oh. The most? Difficult question. I think it's the all of these different cultures, and being really able to work with different cultures, and this I'm always ready to travel, so there is no destination.
Yeah,
it does not matter. I'm just eager to learn new people, and it really, wherever, I'm always there. I don't have like preferences, and I'm always there to meet new people, and that's this drive, I think, and this I think addiction now to really communicate with the people, and that's definitely, and I'm missing it, and I have days when I talk more in English than in Polish, and communicate in Polish, so sometimes I'm really, when I talk to my family, and I need a while to find a proper word I want to say. That's this that is the multicultural
yeah,
pot.
that's somehow the future, isn't it? Because with globalization, people are working in more diverse teams, luckily, and I mean, it's needed, and also this let's say intercultural competences, how they call it. I think there's a whole research direction on it, and so we are delivering to the SES. We are also delivering there, and we are training our people, our volunteers, our trainees in the first place on this. So unfortunately, we are running a little bit out of time. So Olga, I want to ask you my last question.
Okay.
So imagine you can now speak to all students on the planet. What would you say to them? Why they should go on an IST internship, or volunteering for IST, or getting involved in any way with IST?
In any way, IST will make you rich. IST will make you rich as a person, not your pocket, but your CV will be rich, and you will feel like that you belongs to this world, and you will really see how little village the world is at the end. But I think if I have to say it in one sentence, yes, IST will make you rich.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Olga, for joining us.
You're welcome.